Starting conversations for the very first time can be sometimes intimidating or awkward, or if we're just uncomfortable with the situation. Whether that's with our neighbours, or whether that's starting a new workplace, or even just strangers in a shop, it can feel intimidating. So how do we start conversations with children and young people? So tip number one is to make sure that you have a genuine interest in them. Now that might seem really silly to say that, but actually it's really important that we do, because sometimes we volunteer for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we're volunteering because we love the youth worker or the children's worker, or maybe we're volunteering because we feel like a sense of duty in us. But actually it's really important that we are genuinely interested in children and young people, so we need to check if we are. And if you're not, that's okay. Go and speak to your children and youth worker and talk it through. But it's really important that we are when starting conversations with children and young people. I'm encouraged by the story of Jesus and the woman at the well. Jesus had genuine interest in the woman, so much so that even though there was loads of social stigma around him approaching her and talking to her, he did it anyway because his heart was burning for her. And the woman could see that. The woman could see that Jesus was genuinely interested in her. And so she engaged and connected with him. And so we could take these principles and apply it to our work with children and young people. And it's fantastic because even if we are feeling fearful or awkward or for any reason, making sure that we have genuine interest in our children and young people, that will transcend and help us get over any barriers. Not only that, is that the young people and children will see our genuine interest in them, and they will more likely open up, they will build trust with us, and they'll engage with us. Tip number two is to be authentic. You might be someone that really understands children and youth culture really well. Or you may not, and you haven't got a clue, you don't understand. You might be someone who really loves and adores what children and young people are into. Or you may be someone that really isn't interested or really struggles to like what they're into. I suspect for most of us that we have a mixture of all of these things. But it's really important that we are authentic, that we're not trying to be someone that we're not. It's important to just be real, because children and young people can tell if we're being false, if we're being fake. And actually, they're growing up in a culture where they're trying to fit in all the time. And so for us just being real wherever we are, just being totally authentic, we're giving them permission to just be real and authentic themselves. And they love that. So you're building up trust through relationship by just being yourself. So be authentic. Tip number three is to be curious. In any good, healthy relationship is a high level of curiosity. In the Oxford Dictionary, they define curiosity as a strong desire to know something. So taking this definition and applying it to myself and my wife, I have a strong desire to know my wife that little bit more every single day. So when she gets home from work, if I don't ask her how her day is, what am I communicating with her? I'm suggesting that her experiences at work don't matter to me. She's also someone that absolutely loves wearing crazy dungarees. She pulls it off. She's incredible in that way. So she's always showing me the latest designs from her favourite companies and saying, hey, look at this. Now, if I didn't show interest in that, I'll be communicating to her that her interests and joys and the things where she finds life in doesn't matter. And if I'm not careful, I could be communicating to her that she doesn't matter. And the same thing applies to our own relationship with God. If all we're doing with our relationship with God is telling him about how we're feeling, how we're doing, maybe sending our requests and desires to him, it's only one way. We too need to be praying to God like, what brought you joy today, God? Or what broke your heart today? So it's really, really important we do that. So in a nutshell, curiosity is just simply asking good questions. So how can we apply this to children and young people? There might be engaging with an activity that you've never seen before, like a game, for example. And so you could go to them and say, what's this game about? I've never seen it before. Can you tell me? Can you teach me? Or maybe they're on a new social media app that you've never heard of before. Again, ask them, can you tell me, what is this all about? Show me. It's really great because it changes the power dynamic between us and the children and young people, because suddenly they become the teacher and you become the student because they've got the information and you don't. And so it really is a great leveler. It helps us to communicate that we are equal and we're learning from one another. So that's tip number 3. And tip number 4 is just to pray. I know it sounds obvious, but it's really important sometimes to just state the obvious. I don't know about you, but I need all the help I can get. And we have the Holy Spirit, the advocate, our helper. So let's call upon him and just help us. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm meeting children or young people for the very first time, or maybe I'm just feeling tired that night and I'm just feeling like I just need help, I'm just often praying in my head, God, will you help me with this conversation? Will you help me engage with these children and young people? So in summary, how can we start conversations with children and young people? First is to show a genuine interest. The second is to be authentic, be yourself. The third one is to show curiosity, and you can show curiosity through lots of great questions. And the fourth one is to pray. So we really hope that these tips will help you when you go and start a conversation with children and young people.